Camilla never saw it coming. In a matter of hours, everything changed. And what triggered it has been locked in a vault since before any of us were born. Welcome to Northwire. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next update. Let's dive into it. The order that came without warning. There are moments inside royal history that the institution tries to contain before the world can fully process them. This was one of those moments. In what sources close to the palace are calling one of the most shocking royal moves in recent memory, King Charles III and Prince William made a sudden, decisive call. Together, father and son, on the same side, aligned in a way that those who watch this family closely say they have rarely seen. At least not in anything this significant, this immediate, this impossible to walk back. The order was clear, immediate, and irreversible. Access to key royal jewels, pieces long associated with power, legacy, and the very identity of what it means to hold a position inside the British monarchy was quietly but firmly revoked. From Camilla, no warning, no negotiation, no opportunity to prepare a response or consult advisors, or let the palace machine work on her behalf before the decision became a reality. Just silence, followed by action. Those close to the situation describe Camilla's reaction as one of complete shock. Not the managed, dignified shock of a public figure caught off guard, but the raw, uncontained shock of a woman who genuinely, completely did not see it coming. She thought she was safe. She was wrong. What the jewels mean. To understand why the revocation of these jewels matters so deeply, you have to understand what royal jewels actually represent inside the monarchy. They are not simply valuable objects. They are not worn because they are beautiful, though many have died. Them are extraordinary in their beauty. They are worn because of what they communicate. About power, about legitimacy, about who belongs at the center of the institution and who does not. When a royal woman wears a particular piece, a tiara, a brooch, a necklace that has passed through the hands of queens and princesses for generations, she is not simply accessorizing. She is making a statement about her place in the family's story. And when that access is revoked, when those pieces are quietly removed from her reach, returned to the royal collection, placed behind a door that she no longer has the key to mine, the statement is equally clear. You are no longer where you thought you were. For Camilla, who spent 30 years fighting for the right to stand at the center of this institution, who endured decades of public hatred and careful rehabilitation to finally, formally, undeniably belong, the removal of those jewels was not a bureaucratic decision about royal assets. It was a message. From Charles, from William, to get, and the message said everything. This was never just about jewels. But here is where the story takes a turn that nobody expected. Because the jewels, as significant as they are, were not the real story. They were the consequence, the visible tip of something far larger, far older, far more explosive than a dispute over royal accessories. Because at the same time that tensions inside the palace were reaching their breaking point, at the same time that decisions were being made behind closed doors and lines were being drawn with a finality that made those inside the institution genuinely uncomfortable, something else came to light. Something that had been buried for a very long time. 2 sealed royal journals, locked away under strict orders, not to be opened until the year 2122. Yes, and 2122, a date so far into the future that no one currently alive, not Charles, not William, not Camilla, not George or Charlotte, or Louis is meant to live to read what is inside the journals. What we know, the existence of sealed royal documents, is not, in itself, unprecedented. The British monarchy has a long and carefully managed tradition of placing sensitive historical records under time locks, ensuring that information deemed too volatile for the present is preserved for a future that can handle it more objectively. Royal correspondence, private diaries, internal palace communications, all have been sealed for periods ranging from decades to, in some cases, centuries. But 2 journals, sealed until 2122, with orders so strict that even their subject matter has been officially guarded. That is different. That speaks to content so sensitive, so potentially damaging to living people, or to the institution's current stability, that whoever made the decision to seal them chose a date beyond the expected lifespan of everyone who might be harmed by their contents. sources close to those with knowledge of the palace. Archival decisions describe the journals as personal, not institutional records, not formal royal correspondence. Personal, written in someone's own hand, reflecting someone's own experience, containing someone's own account of events that the official history of the monarchy has never fully reflected, and the question that insiders have been asking, quietly, carefully, with the kind of caution that attaches itself to things that feel genuinely dangerous, is whose hand wrote them? Why now? Here is the question at the center of everything. If these journals have been sealed since presumably sometime in the latter half of the 20th century, why are they suddenly relevant now? Why would documents locked until 2122 trigger a dramatic move at the very top of the monarchy in the present day? Sources suggest several possibilities, and each one is more significant than the last. The first, that someone with access to the palace archives became aware of the journal's existence and their approximate contents. Not through reading them the seals remain intact, but through knowledge passed down through those involved in their creation and storage. The second, that this knowledge, partial, fragmentary, but pointing clearly enough at what the journals contain, was shared with William, and that what William understood from this partial picture was enough to change everything he thought he knew, enough to align him with Charles in a way that overrode the tensions between them, enough to trigger together the revocation of Camilla's access to the jewels. Because if the journals contain what sources suggest they might contain, if the sealed pages hold an account of events from inside the palace during the years of Diana's marriage, written by someone who was there, then Camilla's position is not just threatened. It is built on a foundation that those journals could, when 2122 arrives, completely destroy. William knows what may be coming, even if he cannot read it yet, and he is acting accordingly. Charles and William united. Perhaps the most extraordinary element of this entire story is not the jewels or the journals or Camilla's shock. It is Charles, because Charles, the man who chose Camilla over Diana, who fought for decades to make her his wife and then his queen, who has protected and defended her position through every controversy, every public backlash, every painful comparison to the woman the world never stopped loving. Charles is part of this. He did not block William's move. He joined it. Sources describe a conversation between father and son, rare in its directness, rare in its alignment, in which both men reached the same conclusion, that something had to change, that the direction William had been pushing the monarchy, back toward Diana, back toward the truth, back toward a version of the institution that reflected what it had done, and what it owed, was not just William's personal mission. It was the right thing. And Charles, aging, increasingly reflective, increasingly aware of the legacy he will leave and how history will record it, finally, quietly agreed. The man who was once Diana's greatest tormentor, standing beside Diana's son, making a move that Diana herself could never have predicted. There is something profoundly moving about the image of two sealed journals sitting in a royal archive, waiting for 100 years, for a world that does not yet exist, for readers who have not yet been born, for a future in which everyone connected to the events inside those pages is long gone. Whoever sealed them believed in something. They believed that truth, even when too dangerous for the present, deserves a future. That what happened, whatever it was, however it was, lived and suffered and documented, should not be permanently erased, just delayed, preserved for a moment when it can finally, safely, be known. Diana believed something similar. She documented, she wrote, she recorded, she trusted her truth to letters and tapes and the careful hands of people she loved. She believed that the truth would survive her, and it has. In William, in George, in a sealed archive that will outlast everyone currently walking the corridors of that palace. Camilla never saw any of this coming. The jewels revoked, the journals surfacing, Charles standing beside his son in a way she never expected. The entire careful architecture of her position, built over 30 years of patience and strategy, and survival suddenly, fundamentally uncertain. But Diana, who spent her whole life feeling like she could not win, is winning, not loudly, not dramatically, but in every sealed journal, every revoked access, every quiet move made by a son who refuses to let her be forgotten. She is winning. And she always will be. Subscribe to North Wire. Drop a comment, what do you think is inside those sealed journals? This community sees what the palace tries to hide. Share this video, because this is the story they never wanted told. We upload every single day, and we are just getting started. Thank you for being here on Northwire. New video tomorrow, new truth, new chapter. Subscribe, notify, share. The crown has secrets. We uncover them every single day. See you tomorrow.